Hi all, welcome back to the final whistle then for another stream on the channel. Welcome back to the late night whistle. So tonight we've got quite a few things to discuss on tonight's show. Bilal El Khannouss, how close he is to leaving Leicester City, by the way. We're going to chat about Sunderland Unlikely to Persue on Abdul Fatawu. We've got a few other things to discuss regarding Leicester City. And yeah, get involved. Clibo, I think, is going to ask about system changing and whatever. Maybe we'll have a look at that. See if everyone agrees. Caleb, how are we, mate? Hope you're good. Hello, Jack. How you doing? I'm all right, thank you. David Coos, how are we? Dawn, hello. How are we? Right. Guys, as always, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you haven't subscribed already. Please get down and do so. It'd help me out massively. Like target tonight. Oh, tell you what, we'll stick a like target on 60 likes for this stream. So, yeah, let's get the boys in. Clibo.
On my tablet.
All right, mate. I'm trying to do some tech work with Reese because he's having some sort of weird problems. Ironic that, isn't it, seeing as I don't know my arse from my elbow with computers and stuff.
Right. How are we, Clibo?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yo, my Volbirds. How are we saying? Yeah, I'm good. Let's get Dan in. Dan, how are we, mate?
Not too bad, thanks. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm good.
Good. Clibo, all good?
All good.
Right, boys. Before we get on to the El Khannouss stuff and the Fatawu stuff, what positions do Leicester City need to strengthen this summer? Obviously, we will have quite a bit of money to spend, you'd presume. But realistically, what sort of positions would you like to be filled apart from, obviously, a striker?
Me personally, at the beginning of the season, Reese said to me, we need left backs. And I was like, no, we don't. But I have to say, I've changed my mind on that now, having seen the current crop. And particularly the way that he's playing this system, where they're more progressive, they almost end up in like bloody number 10 position sometimes, you know. So I don't think we've got the left backs to do that. I think with Bilal going, we need a creative midfielder or an attacking midfielder, and obviously we need a striker. And I think without two out of three of those, I think we could have a very, very tough season.
Yeah. Dan, what about you?
Yeah, like you say, pretty similar. At the beginning of the season, I thought we were well stacked in the full-back department.
Yeah.
But over the last few weeks, it seems to have deteriorated quite badly, and those that are currently there just aren't doing the business. And so I would certainly look at that. That's a fact. And I think now, if Bilal does go, then we need two centre midfielders. We definitely need a box to box, somebody who can break up the play and who can pass the ball, which might be tricky to get that in one person, but we certainly need something like that. And even if it does need to be two, because I think realistically, with what's going on inside the club that we don't know enough about yet, and with the performances of what we have got in there and available to us, you could quite easily say we need 3 midfielders, and that's before, like I say, you get onto the forward line. The one bit that we are extremely well stacked in is wide men. We definitely don't need any of that. Priorities elsewhere, but you know, a couple of smart loans
Mm.
and maybe two actually buy in additions. We won't be a million miles away then. And
No,
I think the dressing room needs that as well. A freshness of enthusiasm, as I said before, that just brings, you know, like what Fatu did in his first season.
yeah,
And you need that, especially when ours is a lot of the players have been there at least 3 years, if not 5, with some of them. So it's a bit long in the tooth for some of them, but we just can't get rid of them.
well, that's the problem. Strikers a must. I don't think we can rely on Patson Daka and Jordan Ayew to get the goals this season, realistically. I think we need a proven championship goal scorer who can get in the goals. I'm going to ask a question to Clibo in a minute about the one we discussed in the chat about age sort of concern of what type of players we do go for. But wide men were quite stacked. Fullbacks. Then again, it depends if James Justin leaves. Obviously, Olabode Aluko. I know you said he's injured, Dan. I think that was in the under-23s game, was it, the other night against Liverpool? So, that's not looking good. And if Justin is out for a bit, we've only got Ricardo, Koulibaly, Christensen. I mean, Christensen's not even back yet. So we've got Thomas. So we've only got 3 fit fullbacks, if you actually look at it. So you're sort of worried there. You look at your centre-backs, you've got Nelson, Akole, Vestergaard, Fats. Not saying them all going to be here by the end of the window, but...
No, but we're still well stacked there. We could lose 2 and still have 2 + 1 in reserve, so...
My opinion is this won't be a Leicester City team until the window is closed. It feels like everyone is for sale. What would you sort of say for that, Dan, regarding what Dave said?
I think everybody, barring 2 players in the squad, are for sale, and that's Monger and Fatu. But after that, really, and possibly Jakob. I think if we let him go for whatever reason, then we'd be struggling again, like we were a couple of seasons ago. But yeah, I think those 3. Anybody else is game, and I don't see why not, because like what we just said, some of them have been here for 4 and 5 years now, so they've not proved their worth in that time, because if not, they wouldn't be on the last years of their contracts. They'd have been given new ones, regardless of how much money some of them are being paid, because we seem to be able to find money to spend on players that we don't really think we need. But there we go.
Clibo, what's your thoughts on what Daz has said about individuals? They're obviously people are problems at the football club, in the camp. Players who don't want just need dropping. Marty needs the standards to be good and set. Do you think that's what Marty's trying to bring to the squad, Clibo? Good standards, where if you don't want to play for me, it's fine. I'll get somebody else who can. But obviously, Leicester City are having to sell before they buy, aren't they? This transfer window. Obviously, PSR obligations is another thing we obviously speak about. So, what's your thoughts on what Daz has said?
Well, there's a lot of things to address there. I think just to add on to what Dan said there, they wouldn't be in their final contracts for a variety of reasons. If they were any good, they'd have been snapped up. That's the other thing. I think players do hang around too long that are mediocre. I think the scouting system we need to be able to trust the scouting system. Because we are in a position where, I've heard that we need to sell £50 million worth of players before we can start to buy players.
Interesting.
So we're sitting here talking about what we need. I don't think we're going to get 3 players for. I think what if we sell Bilal, it would be like £6 million.
Yeah.
So for me, what I would be looking at doing this season is getting good loan signings. Now, in terms of Marty, I still think he's got things to prove, which is great. It keeps everybody focused and on task. Keeps the fans interested. I don't think he's the finished article, but I do think he's leading by example. Things that he's doing, not just saying, which is complete opposite to Cooper, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cooper said a lot of things, but he is doing, and I like that. Passionate Spanish man.
Yeah.
So I think leading by example is something that hopefully the players will get on board with. In terms of players like Winks, I'm just irritated to death by him. We're in a position where the likes of Winks might go, so we'd have to replace him. Now, ironically, he's playing really bloody well. But that older fan in me thinks, well, that's not good enough. You can't just play well and be an arsehole. And disrespectful, I think, is the thing. I mean, I think it's disrespectful to the likes of you, Jack, who go away in every game. I think it's very, very disrespectful for people like yourself. I mean, I can't do that anymore these days, but, back in the day, I would have been really fuming if I'd have been somebody like yourself who is an avid fan and spends loads of money, away trips, home, season tickets, all the rest of it. I think it's disrespectful what he's doing. So if any of these players get offered money, all the ones that are on 1 year left, get rid of them. All of them.
Yeah, that's it. No, even if it is small amounts, because at the minute, by the sounds of it, every penny counts. So if you get rid of 3 or 4 of them at 2 million apiece, then
Well, let's be honest. Any player that we bought that's basically running down their contracts, there was no resale value on them, really. Anyway, even with the likes of Winks, you were never going to get your money back on him or make any profit on him. So we need to take this hit and get some money back on them. You're saving on wages. The players that you will be bringing in will be on half the amount of wages.
Yeah,
but we have to replace. I think if the club is serious about a promotion push, which I did initially think this season, with the appointment of Marty and the things that were being said, I did think, right, we are in for a promotion push. No matter, forget the 9 points deductions or whatever it may be. I really did think that we were in for a promotion push. I'm starting to think a little bit differently. Because of the amount of players that we're selling and we're not seeing anything coming in, I'm starting to be a little bit suspicious that Top is putting all the cards in order, getting the finances sorted out, and ready to sell.
Yeah.
A lot of people have. I think quite a few people have questioned that, haven't they, over the last few weeks, with certain things happening, not buying, just getting everything in order. I'm not sure. To be fair, it's obviously it'd be a hot topic if it was to come of interest. But yeah, it's an interesting debate you could probably have. To be fair, Clibo, with what you've just said, I don't know what everyone else thinks. To be fair, because we don't know what's happening behind the scenes, do we? This is the thing. Obviously, we love the family for what they've done for this football club and that.
Yeah.
Legacy is very much intact, but the mistakes that we've made in the last few years and the money that we've lost and the PSR issues that have very much occurred, we're in deep shit basically, and we've got ourselves to blame for them situations because we've let it carry on and on and on. We've not sorted the problems. We've just let them sort of dwindle themselves, and when you don't settle your own problems, the problems mount up. they're not going to change unless you change something about it. Do you get what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you take Ben Chilwell back on loan, Dan? Obviously, I'm not a big Chilwell fan. The way he left
Doesn't fit the system.
That's it.
Doesn't fit.
also with that FA Cup celebration that he did, and yeah, it was great to see that it never stood, and it put a smile on my face. But no, I wouldn't take that personally.
No, I'm the same. I like Clibo was just about to say there. He doesn't really have a use anymore within how football is played at the minute. And I know we'll probably go on to it a bit later about things like this, but he doesn't fit the system of what Marty wants to play. And I think, to be fair, like what we were discussing the other night about the players being booed, he'd be hit hard the moment he walked through the door, let alone before he stepped foot on a pitch. So, you know, it's one of those where we don't need somebody like that in the club at the minute, you know. So I wouldn't have him back on sheer those purposes of loan, of as I say, of the sheer dislike he would have, and I wouldn't want to wish that on anybody either, you know. So whether you've asked for it or not, but yeah, we've got enough animosity between some of the players and the fans as it is, let alone bringing Chilwell back in.
Reece, what's your thoughts? Try fast. Would you take Ben Chilwell back on loan? I mean, we've seen what Wesley Fofana has been doing today regarding Instagram again. It's not the first time, which we thought it'd be the last time when joining Chelsea, but seems very much at it again. But what's your thoughts regarding Ben Chilwell? Tribe said, would you take him back on loan?
I mean, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, it's like what Dan's just said. He doesn't fit in terms of the modern game. You know, his sort of left backs are kind of being pushed out. You have to have that technical ability to play the inverted role, and and you can see he's not. Enzo don't want him at Chelsea, so yeah. Like I said, there's a reason why Enzo ain't picked him. But no, absolutely not. And I don't think he'd fit Marty's system either. You know, his fullbacks need to be high up the pitch and, you know, can contribute into the attacking play, and just no. And his wages are too high as well, so no. Yeah,
not for me either, to be fair. Clibo, you know what I'm going to ask you. Reece obviously comes to the agenda of age thing with Marty Cifuentes. He did mention it in the tours. What is your thoughts on it, Clibo? Reece says Marty doesn't like players over the age of 25. Obviously, it is a thing that has been discussed in the media and that. But how do you sort of see it, Clibo, with how Leicester City bring in players this transfer window?
Largely it depends on who goes. I do think you need experience when you've got a young team, but also don't think you need to be old to have experience.
No.
That is something that Reece has mentioned many times, and I completely agree with him on that. As much as I hate to say it, I do agree with him. But that doesn't mean to say that you can't bring players in that are 27.
No.
You know, what I wouldn't do is bring like a Brownhill in, who's 29, who is on a less contract and would require 3-4 years on high wages. No, I'm not into that. I think you bring a solid player in with leadership experience if you're going to bring older players in. Something that they can contribute for their lack of sell on. You know, they need to bring something.
Yeah.
I don't think Marty wants. I think he wants his average age to be under 25 for sure, and I don't think he'd be averse to buying or getting somebody on a free or a loan that's older than 25, 26. But it would have to be the right person.
It needs to be the right. Yeah.
It has to be the right fit. There's a lot of factors to bringing in older players, depending on whether you buy them or loan them. If you loan them, it's a it is what it is. But if you buy them, there's a lot of factors that have to be taken into consideration. It's not just how good they are on the pitch, because 26, 27 is around about a man's peak at football these days, where they're that optimum for a couple, 2 or 3 years. So it's not like they're over the hill at that age. It's just if you sign them on a 3-year deal, their trajectory goes that way, and you don't make any money back. And we all know that as a business, Leicester need to go back to the model of younger players, development, sell on, redevelop. So I wouldn't like to see a team full of older than 25s, but I'm certainly not against signing the right player that's 27, 28, 29.
Reece, I'm going to give you a chance to respond to what you obviously presume with the whole 25 and under thing. What's your thoughts on what Clipo said?
No, I completely agree with what you just said. I mean, when was the last time an experienced player worked out for us? Maybe Johnny Evans. That's the only one I can think of, I'd say. Yeah. And we've not had a good record of bringing those sort of players in. So why should we continue going that way? You look at the modern day of football, likes of Bournemouth, Sunderland, Brighton, Brentford. They're all going for these younger players because, they fit the more modern game. Why shouldn't we go down that route? Why shouldn't we see like a club build like what's the word I'm looking for? When you build something, I've got the bloody word, but yeah, why shouldn't we build on something like that instead of just going for these older, experienced players? So, and it's like what Clever just said, you don't need to be over 30 or late 20s to have experience. You see a lot of young kids now playing 17, 18, 19 years old, and they're 24, 25, and they've got a lot of experience, so. No, completely agree with Uncle Clibo there.
Dan, what type of age bracket should Leicester City be looking at this transfer window?
I think anybody under the age, like I say, of 30 years old, I think we've got in. To be fair, we probably don't even need that. It would be younger players, 25 and under, because if you think about it, and this is the thing that done my head in with Cooper, when he kept going on about having experience, that's why I bought in AU, that's why I bought in Reed, that's why, and you're like, well, hang on a minute, this side only got relegated the season before and it had been in the Premier League for 10 years, so what the hell are you talking about, mate? That was a thing where he completely lost me.
You need quality over quantity, don't you? And
exactly that.
How much we
absolutely
wasted that window with IU. What did we bring in? IU. Oliver Skip came in, didn't he?
Yeah.
Big amount of money.
Decordova Reed.
Yeah, on a free. A company came in for £12 million. We brought in Bilal, didn't we, for about £22 million, which is probably the better bargain of the lot of it. But Cooper's sort of process with me was he'd go experience over quality. Leicester City needed quality. You look at what Sunderland's doing this season. They're going quality and experience. They're doing a bit of both. That's what Leicester needs to do. Leeds are doing the same. So that's where Leicester's the trick. We've gone for everything experience. Oh, these have done it in the Premier League. We'll go for these. It doesn't matter who they are. They've just got the experience above their name. And you can't do that. That doesn't work. It doesn't sort of wash with it, does it?
No. That's it. And as like I was just saying, what took me a while to think about what to go with the age bracket, and I'm ticking players off in my head who are 28 or more anyway, with sort of the likes of IU, Vestergaard, Fass, Winks, Decordova Reed.
Yeah.
Trying to think now who else we've got. Ricardo. They're all 28 plus. So that's 6 players just straight without really sort of thinking about it too much. So the goalkeeper, Begovic, experienced man, been around a long while. We don't need any more than that in the dressing room. So if not, then it starts getting a bit messy. We need them in there to get the young lads in line and to become mature as football players. You know, not always so much in life. In life could help, but because it helps you develop more as you progress in the side. But certainly how to manage a football match. And, you know, until you've got that for a season or so, then you're going to struggle. But that's where we need them for, not so much their ability. The ability is always a helpful thing, but it's more to get them through and let the younger ones be the ability.
Yeah, James says here, are we actually going to bring anybody in? What is going on? Another gaffer we're setting up to fail. Didn't give him a full pre-season, and now we're not giving him enough time to coach his signings at all. Well, he's not going to be coaching just Begovic, is he? He wants a lot more than that, you know. When you bring in a manager, you need to give him his own tools to work with, bring in his own players, get his own squad together. Leicester City haven't done that. They've just gave him Begovic and that's it. Like, that's not good enough. That's like giving just Ruben Nistelrooy, Woyo Koulibaly, and you're thinking, okay, then, well, what about where's everybody else? Like, where's all the other players? Like, this is what it sort of looks like when you appoint managers in it, you know, with Leicester. It's like the setup to fail because they're not being backed. They're not giving the tools.
The thing is, Marty's never really talked openly about, you know, not like Enzo or Rude about being backed in new signings. For all we know, he's gone into that interview being told, you've got to work with a young squad, we've got to sell players, and you won't be getting any money this season. We don't know. So he might have been going with his eyes wide open into this. We're only going based on what the two or three of the previous managers have said.
That's the thing.
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if he's been told that there'll be no incomings.
The thing is, though, Clipper, you sort of look at that, and if someone said that to you in a job, you wouldn't get the things that you need. How are you supposed to do the job going forward? It'd put you off, wouldn't it, straight away?
Well, it's clearly not put him off because he must have known, like we all know, that Leicester haven't got any money to spend.
Yeah.
So he must have gone into the interview doing a little bit of sort of digging and going, right, we've got this young lad, you know, we've got this nucleus of a team, we've got these star players. If they get sold, what have I got left? He would have had to have looked at that because if you go for anyone who goes for an interview, unless you're me, do a bit of research first. Yeah, you know, you have a look at it first.
It wouldn't surprise me, Steve, that one and that one as well. I mean, two players brought in over the last two transfer windows so far.
Yeah,
but if you look at our squad, we've got a lot of players. It's just unfortunate that
we haven't got the right players.
We haven't got the right players.
Forward,
some of them aren't good enough as well. And like what I said earlier, they've been hanging around now for 3, 4, and 5 years, and not cracked it. So it's getting rid of them that we're having the biggest issue with. But like I say, players wise, we have got a lot, but like what we were discussing, we were stacked at fullback, we're stacked in wingers, we're pretty stacked in centre halves, but midfield and the front line, we're scrapping around a bit.
Signs even loans in the first week, so we can work with them for day months. Perfect. We've not allowed him to do so. Enzo were very well spoken about it, wasn't he, Reece? This whole situation. He knew what he wanted, and whether the club would give him it or not was another thing. You look at Enzo in the relationship he built with the squad. You had a lot of players that wanted out, didn't they? When Enzo came in, he had to sort of build a bond with them players quite quickly and get them to like stay type of thing. And he built that real bond between the fans again, didn't he? That season in the Championship. That seems very much lost again, doesn't it, as time's moved on?
Yeah, I think everyone thought that it'd be a one-off, that we got relegated, that would just go straight back up and then all will be merry again. But obviously we've got relegated again, so obviously it's put us back in the same situation. So it's a bit more difficult for Marty, and you can see he's trying. He is trying to get the fans on board and the players on board. I can tell by the way he is. You know, walking around in the first home game of the season, clapping the fans. You know, walking around the city. You know, he's doing all the right things. So I do feel sorry for him. But at the end of the day, if he knew if the club did say to him, "We have got to sell before we can buy, or you ain't going to get no signings," he didn't have to sign the contract, did he?
No. That's the thing. He could have walked away straight away. But he's accepted how difficult the challenge is, and he's paid his own money to come here, for God's sake. And how many managers
and he's on a less wage than he was at QPR.
That's what I mean. With QPR, he was sort of in the same boat, wasn't he? They were very poor. The cracks between the fans and the club and the players and everything like that. You look at what Leicester's doing, it's sort of in the same thing, but a lot more worse than QPR was. So it's a problem is, like Steve said, what doesn't help is the fact we have a smaller amount of parachute payments, meaning the hole is bigger to fill. The fact are setting us up to fail because of 4 years of neglect. What would you say to that, Clipper?
I mean, the problem is none of us really know the process.
No.
We only hear bits and bobs from, so we don't know how much we've played ball. We don't know how much we've actually broke rules. We don't know. Currently, we have to assume that there's no points deduction, don't we?
Hey.
Until we have to assume that there's no points deduction at the moment. I mean, I've heard so many different versions of what we've done wrong and what we've done right that I'm confused as hell with it all. And I think going forward, we all have to think, right, the squad has to think, Marty has to manage as if we're not getting a points deduction. Because at the end of the day, it just seems to me that I know it does sound like a bit sour grapes, but I do think we're being targeted quite a bit at the moment by everybody. And you know, we were everybody's darlings when we won the Premier League, weren't we? Everyone's second favourite team. Now everybody hates us and thinks we deserve it. And I'm just a bit tired of it all. And by now, I mean, what is it? 13 weeks since the charges and all this. Just get on with it. Just get on with it, and then we can all get on with it. Do we know where we are financially? Let us know, because it's very difficult being a Leicester fan at the moment when we're all on these shows discussing bits and bobs and what we'd like. But you know what? We don't know how much money we've got to spend.
No.
I mean, I think Manny will tell you the same. We've got to save 50 million before we can spend. You know, I don't know how true that is, or you know, it's just you hear all these different things.
Isn't it? Yeah, and that's the sort of the unknown in it for what we know.
Yeah, it's a shit show.
What's going on? A lot of privacy. There's just nothing coming out of the club, the Premier League, the EFL. We don't know what's going on. We've started a season off without knowing what the outcome actually is, and that's the hardest part of when is this actually going to happen? Could it be Christmas time? Could it be end of the season? You know, Manny, what's your thoughts on the whole Mighty thing in the transfer window and all that, and the incomings, outgoings, the financial state of it?
Let's deal with the numbers first. You know, I love numbers. I love the numbers.
Give us a maths lesson.
Well, last time, what did we sell? So let's go through. We sold Harvey Barnes. Was that 40? I think Harvey was that 40, right? 40. Yeah. I think we got 38 for Madders and 40.
We got 40 for Madders and 30 for Barnes.
Did Madison go on the previous year's books? They squeezed that through, and then it was Harvey Barnes.
Okay. Without confirming the deadlines, you might be right on that, Dan. But from what I remember, we roughly raised ballpark 100, and we spent roughly 40. So we had to raise 60, but we had a lot of wages going off that bill. Those players that got sold and a lot of players that left on free transfers was a huge amount off
Yeah.
the wages. So assuming, because we just don't have those levels of wages that we did from that team, we don't have to get as many wages off. We don't have quite as much sort of 100,000 plus players a week. And this time, you think were more aware of the PSR problem. So I'm guesstimating that we don't have to make a net 60 like last time. It's probably going to be a bit less than that. Somewhere between 40 and 50 is what I'm thinking we need to shift up, and then the wages go with that.
Yeah.
Now, what have we sold so far? We've got 2.5 for Cody. We've got, let's say, 30 for Bilal. And we've got 7.5 for Wolf, roughly. So there's 40, right, raised.
Yeah.
And we sold Mads as well.
Yeah.
So that's 58. So I would say that we've done what we need to do, and we've probably got somewhere between 5 and maybe 10 at a push to go and spend. And then the wages doesn't matter because you've got so many wages off your book. You've still got allowance in that area. So I think we've got about
losing
5 million.
Vardy's wages.
Yeah,
Losing
that's huge.
Vardy's wages was the biggest killer to the club. As much as we all love him,
That's a monster one. And then next summer, we'll have, we've got Danny Ward off as well. He was on big wages. We'll have Daka will be off. Winks will be off. Vestergaard will only be 1 year away. Fass will be off. A lot of these, I call them legacy contracts. These guys who are paid European level Premier League salaries, and then we were stuck with them for years of non-European level performance, and we've been suffering because of that. So once these guys go, the problem I always say, the caveat I always say whenever I talk about numbers is, don't add to the bloody problem.
All right, Justin. Yeah.
Don't add more overpriced old
Jordan
crap.
Miley.
Yeah, exactly. All of these guys, all these will be on big money, and eventually they'll be shifted. It's now your budget gets increased. Again, you have a choice. But if you swap like for like, you just get rid of one old guy and then get another old guy in. What's the bloody difference? It makes no difference in the end. You're just repeating the same mistake again. So I know a lot of people like Josh Brownhill, but a lot of people liked Harry Winks when we bought him. He was a good signing on paper. 29, lots of experience, will do a job. But the point is, it's not about the bloody championship. You have to start working on your Premier League quality. And hey, that player I like has just got a red card. The player I recommended as a centre back just got sent off. But look, there are players out there that you can. Oh, that's not a red card, ref. What are you doing? With £5 or £6 million, don't despair. You can actually find either a really good young talent, or with that money, you can get a couple of loans in. Last time we got Cassidy on loan. Don't forget. We got Abdul on loan from Sport. I mean,
Abdul.
Where did you find Abdul sitting on the bench? Not even on the bench at Sporting Lisbon, and you get him on loan, right? So there is talent out there. We just have to go shopping again. Spend that money wisely.
I agree. I'm very much, free agents. You can obviously look in that market, but there's a lot of players who clubs don't really want and didn't want, did they? To be fair, and they was on high wages itself.
There's free agents go in two kinds, right? You get the free agent because he got released because he wasn't good enough and the club didn't fancy him. Or you get the second free agent who's let his contract run down because he wants a big fat payday.
Yeah.
Now, either of those two scenarios I don't really like, because there's a problem either with the player or the player's mentality. He's either after money or he's not good enough as a footballer. Yeah. So, and generally, let's go through Brownhill, okay? Everyone goes Brownhill, free transfer, and in an open market, he'd probably cost you 10, 12, maybe even 15 million. But he's 29 and he wants 60 a week. In the Championship, that's suicide.
Well, the rumours that Burnley offered him 90 grand a week and he turned it down on a 3-year contract.
Wow. Well, there you go. So
that was the rumour.
Well, let's say the rumour wasn't quite that extreme. Let's say if it was 60 and not even 90, right? Not even 90. We've been down this road before, paying old players to come in on a relatively low fee, and giving them massive wages. But it's the massive wages that get you in the big PSR problem.
It was saying Hudson Edward on loan for like 90 grand a week, man.
90 grand a week.
Couldn't even send him back when we wanted to.
Brownhill's a decent player.
And an alleged 8 million loan fee as well.
Oh my God, that's such a bad deal. It's unbelievable.
Just
think Doesn't get any
Did he
better,
actually
does it?
even cross
£8
the field of play?
million loan fee.
Allegedly, yes.
My God.
I swear we're like
That's
two.
loads.
I swear we're 2.5
First,
million.
again,
I mean,
like,
I'm not even sure if he's worth 8 million as a permanent sale.
No,
I swear,
absolutely not.
You
I
pay
swear
more on the loan
Exactly.
fee than the transfer fee would be.
Yeah.
I think his
Scandalous.
wages would have covered about 8 million.
But that is the good point about that is it's not just the headline transfer fee. It's the underlying wages and bonuses and whatever fee associated fees that come with it. It's always the package cost.
It's a lot of money in it.
People keep pushing Brownhill. I don't like it because Brownhill will do you a job in the Championship. Yes, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But then in the Premier League, he's 30. He'll probably have 3 years left on his contract. He's not good enough in the Premier League. You go back down. You end up with a 31-year-old on a massive contract with 2 years left. And hey-ho, it's Harry Winks, Yannick Vestergaard, Ryan Bertrand, Connor Cody all over again. We've made this error at least 4 times. Don't make a 5th or a 6th.
9 million Jesus Christ, someone's adding them bloody fees up there.
I know they're riding a wave at the moment, but let's look at Sunderland. Sunderland tried it, been dog in the Championship and lower, League One as well, for well over 10, 15 years. They finally got their stuff together and decided we need to build a dynamic young team. And then if we go up, they're all going to be young and we're going to add even better dynamic young players to it. They've got speed, power, pace, hunger, desire. The wages, fast twitch fibers all over that place. You saw them smash West Ham the other day. It's not. They've figured it out. They've got the right template. They're even after Abdul from us. They're not daft. They can see where the talent is and who they're trying to buy. They've sharpened up. Now look at who your successful competitors are, and look at how they are being successful. Copy. Anyway, I've shut up. Spoken enough.
No, it's all right.
No.
Whenever putting the orders, Varane the orders, Mexican chasing one last Friday. What's your thoughts on what Hamza said there, Reese?
We're never pulling in young talent. Like I said, we used to. We had a good track record of doing it, especially in the foreign market with Fofana, Riyadh, and Golo. Ricky P as well. So we have got a good track record of doing it. So I don't know why the club have gone away from that.
Lost our way a little bit, I'd say.
It's the opposite there, though, with young players.
Yeah.
This is a brilliant place to come because you've got world-class training facilities that you only really get around Madrid. You've got it in a regional club where you could actually get game time. You can't get game time at Real Madrid, but you can get the facilities and the development at Seagrave. If we can show a track record of turning Seagrave kids into Premier League stars and international players, and hopefully this is the first wave, Jeremy Monga leading that charge, then it won't be long before other kids will start going, I fancy going there. That's a good place. That's the best stepping stone you can find. Because if you go to a better club than Leicester, let's say you go to even a Palace or even a Tottenham, let's say, they make it so difficult for you to leave. Difficult for you to leave. Like Levy is going to try and pull your pants down. He wants top dollar. Palace, look how hard they kept Zaha. Look how hard it was for them to keep Eze for years. He could have gone a year or two ago, Eze. But they hold and hold and hold. Whereas Leicester, throw a wobbly, we'll let you out the door. Not a problem.
That's it.
These players will leave. So we're that nice balance that you can come here, develop, and get a move. And look at where we sell our players to. Man United, Chelsea. We are selling them, and Monga to Madrid eventually. So we are selling to the very top level. Look how many players Chelsea have bought from us in the recent times. Fofana, Chilwell, Drinkwater. There's more than that as well. So I think we are... Dewsbury Hall, another great one. So people will see, like, you go to Leicester, you do get game time, and you can get a move. If I go to other places, I might sit on the bench, and I might not get a move. So what do I want to do?
Absolutely. I think we need to certainly trust Glover more because there's no way a manager has found like the likes of Abdul and Bilal. They've just not looked. That's come from our scouting network. There's no doubt about it. We really do in the position that we're in now. We need to trust that a hell of a lot more and be picky with what we bring in. Like we've said, I think, if we can get certainly 2 loan with the potential to buy them, like we did with Abdul, it's definitely the way to go. And then an additional 2 players, then we're not hurting ourselves if we don't go up. We send those lads back, and if we can have them another season, then brilliant. But we're not losing out on too much because we've not fully committed ourselves.
Interesting point there, Adrian. I'll get up to the lads again in a minute. Used to say, who is Leicester's radar? Try beat them to the signings or buy the player after a season. Morris, Kante, Fofana. I played 4,000 hours of Football Manager. Give me the job. Well, Will still got it, didn't it? They have invested in Seagrave and got planning to raise value of the business, not invested in the team.
That doesn't work that way. You invest in the infrastructure and you get a benefit from the team about 10 to 15 years later. That's about the delay. So now, we used to produce occasionally a good kid, the odd good one here and there, and then a lot of players who weren't quite good enough. But now we're seeing a wave of kids. We haven't got 1 in Monga. We haven't got 2 in Monga and Aluko. We haven't got 3 in Monga, Aluko, Page. We've got 4 with Evans. We've got 5 with Cartwright. There's another one as well. I think there's definitely another one in it.
Jaden Joseph,
just and there's another one beyond him as well. So we're seeing 8, 9.
Yeah,
that's not an accident. That is because you have a world-class facilities and you've put a plan in place to train these kids up from 8, 9 years old. And then when they get old enough, hopefully they'll be good enough. And the first wave, hey, they're pretty bloody good. The second wave should be pretty bloody good too. And hopefully you get that conveyor belt of just wave after wave of kids coming in. And, and not just that, we can import the best of other people's kids as well, because they'll say, that is a brilliant youth team. That is a brilliant youth setup. That club is focused on developing youth. That if we get that reputation, you'll attract better talent too.
Yeah. Boys, let's get on to the big news. This man is very much close to leaving. £32 million, abroad agreements in place. That was this morning by Rob Dorsett regarding Bilal El Khannouss. Eze looks very much like he's going to be joining Arsenal rather than Tottenham. I think that's going to piss him off a bit. Eze is obviously, I think he's an Arsenal fan, by the way. It was a move that is now being put about by sporting director Andre Berta. Negotiations are ongoing. Sacha Tablieri said Crystal Palace and Agner accelerate on the deal for Bilal El Khannouss around the £30 million mark. But could we potentially see a bidding war now between Crystal Palace and Tottenham Hotspur for Bilal El Khannouss? What do we reckon, Clibbo?
Well, it's very possible, but I mean, to me, it depends how much the bidding war is going to fetch. Because if we're to get any money out of this, and we have players identified, which you would hope that the scouting network has already identified these players. The longer you piss about, you get your fingers burnt for things like that. And if it's a matter of $1 million or $2 million, and it means you're missing out on your targets, and it's not healthy. And I think it was something you said earlier, Manny, where you'd say, or one of you two said that you have to put in place a structure whereby if you don't buy it by this time, then this team will have them no matter what. We won't sell to you. I think that has to be something where
you need to have enough time to get replacement or something.
You gain control of the situation. Basically, you're managing it. I think that's healthy. Yeah, but it's Leicester, isn't it? And I don't have a massive amount of faith in that kind of management structure at the moment at the club. I hope they prove me wrong.
Yeah, Reece, Bilal. I mean, this guy is going to leave Leicester City this summer transfer window. Very much, he's close to a departure. Will Leicester City invest the money? Is another question in this market, or like Manny says, loans, free agents, and whatever we can do. What do you sort of see regarding the news now with Bilal looking closer to an exit at Leicester City?
Well, it's obviously a bit devastating. So he is, in my opinion, our best player in terms of technical ability. But it is what it is. If a player wants to go, then he can go. I think that's a great move for him, by the way, Crystal Palace. I think that's a great move for him to develop his career.
They're in Europe.
They're in Europe. European football. So, and I think he'll start. I think he'll walk straight into that midfield comfortably, to be honest with you. And he threw me off now. It's gone.
I don't think I said that. I think Steve is actually innocent for once. Steve Elm is innocent here. It's been hacked. It's been hacked.
For once, yeah. Other things he puts on social media.
Yeah, he said he wanted to strangle me once.
A lot of debate. Some of them tended to be what a sad life. Well, Steve, unbelievable, mate. You must be a troll. Dan, what's your thoughts on Bilal? Obviously, do you sort of see it as in the case that we need to replace him? Obviously, I'm going to come to Manny in a minute about the Benfica player, who we have got an eye on. But what's your thoughts?
Well, as we previously discussed, we 100% need to replace him because of look at what we've got left. So yeah, that's without question. We have to replace. Whether it's him as in the manner that he plays, or because again, he is slightly different. It's like what's been spoken about the last couple of nights. He's not a number 10 in a traditional number 10 role. He doesn't get an amazing amount of goals or assists, but what he does do is he creates the space and he can make the pass for the next. Really, yes. Because like I say, he has the quality to make the pass and to make the space for others to then be the next assist. So
fantastic news.
It is getting something in, without a doubt. And like I say, I don't think we can get just the one. I think we need at least two in there. So, but like I say, if we can get certainly one in on loan, who's of a decent standard, with the option to buy, depending on what happens with us, and one bought in alongside that. So,
I'd certainly like to see a lot more of Page this season. I really would.
Same
I think we will do regardless.
There's something about him that I like. I mean. Was it against? Who was it against? My brain's gone. But he did like a turn on the 18-yard box and blasted it over this season.
Against Huddersfield.
Yeah, that's right. But there was just a strength and a confidence about such a young lad just having the balls to do it. And you know what? I can forgive people for smacking it 100 yards over the bar. But you know what? The intent's there. And at some point that'll pay off for him.
He's up for it physically as well.
Yeah,
he's up
very.
He's not frightened about playing with fully grown players. He's up for the challenge and he wants to put what he's got about. And that is a brilliant mentality to have as a kid. No fear. Let me have a go at them. I'm going to rough them up. I'm going to get stuck in. I'm not going to shirk a challenge. And the boy's got some talent, like not some talent, a lot of talent. Like he's
got some pace as well, which I noticed in that Huddersfield game.
Cultured left foot as well.
He turned and put the burners on, and they're like, oh, "Hang on a minute, how am I going to catch this kid?"
How you can not going to, because he's not burdened by excess muscle, excess weight. He's not carrying around as much lumber as you are, so he's going to be able to turn quicker than you. So if his mind is switched on and his intent is there, then you're right. If he gets past you, you're not going to get past him. You're not going to catch him. You're going to have to foul him. And these days, you can't foul those kids like you used to. So you can't kick them out of the game like you used to. You've got VAR. You've got a million cameras watching. You've got all kinds of protections in place for these kids. And like I've been saying this for donkeys. It's more and more a young man's game than ever. But look at pre-season. Look at the start of the real season. Ask yourself who has been the biggest spark so far. Whether it's Abdul, who's only 20 himself, 20,
Yeah.
20, 21, he's a kid
20.
himself, or Jeremy Monger at 16, or a Luco in pre-season, or Page in pre-season, or Page when he comes off the bench and had a really good game. And look who the liabilities are. It's the opposite end again, just like it was last season. Same old people, same old problems. So I'd rather risk, if we're going to finish mid-table, do it with the kids. At least I can see a benefit of giving them season of game time. I could see them learning from it, being the better for it when they're 17, 18, 19. But playing these donkeys like Vestergaard again, oh my God, did you see him trying to chug back to try and get that goal? What an absolute joke. Every single time. As soon as he turns, you're fucked. If he turns and starts running backwards, you're done. And it was the goal against Colne as well. You play two centre-backs, but because he can't track back, there becomes a hole central. And the striker scoring from about 18-yard area, but dead central, literally in line with the penalty spot. That's where he is supposed to be. But you see him, he's 5-10 yards, chugging up the pitch, blowing out of his arse, trying to catch up the play.
He gets caught on the wrong side as well now.
Me and Reece had this discussion. Sorry, Dan.
That's right.
We had this discussion at the beginning of the season, just like candidly had this discussion about what system Marty would play. Because we looked up the different variations that he played. And although I liked Reece's system more than my own system, when I looked at it on paper and literally looked at it aerial view, I thought with the players that he's got, if he plays XYZ player, that could work. But with him playing players that are lacking pace at the back, we're so exposed on a long ball or a break, so exposed, and the last few games that Vestergaard's played, he has cost us goals, and nothing's getting done. And my point when we were in chat about, I was kind of just putting the question out there, will he need to change his system? I still say, if you're going to play players like that, you're going to get, within the next 5 or 6 games, if things don't improve, he will have to change that system or the fans will turn.
Which one?
Whether that's right or wrong, I'm just saying that he can't keep playing those players in that system.
It's not rocket science. Anybody can tell you, any fan, any manager can tell you, if you're going to play transition, then you need mobile defenders, because if you get caught relatively high up the pitch, you've got a lot of ground to cover between where you get caught and your own goal. So if you've got 30, 40, 50 yards to cover, and you're going to get I think it was a 2-on-4. They had 2, we still had 4. But if your centre-backs aren't blocking that central space, then people who are on the wings, your fullbacks, who might be more mobile, get dragged indoors. They get dragged inside. I've got to cover Vestergaard because he's not catching up with play. And then there's further space out wide. The whole unit doesn't become cohesive. You have to have mobility if you're going to play high press. High press means susceptible to transition, means you need mobility everywhere on the pitch, but particularly in the back, because that's where you're going to be susceptible. So
you've got 4 at the back. They come back at different paces, so it doesn't come back as a 4 together.
Correct, and it's all sporadic. They're not as a line. They're not as a unit. They're not as a shape. It's a scramble. So it's that's the way it works. You press wave 1, you press second wave, and then if they get past the second wave, it's scramble. That means panic stations. Get back. Try and cover a block. Try do whatever you can. Get your head on it. Stick a leg out. Whatever. But that's the 3-wave defense. It's press, scramble. That's how it goes. But we can't scramble because we have no speed. So, but I don't mind the system because I like the system. I don't mind that. It's just Marty's trying to do a system which he's trying to put on the club and say, look, this is how we're going to play. The problem is, I would prefer that you choose compatible personnel with your choice of system. So if you want to play this way, Marty, Ben Nelson has to start above Vestergaard always, just because he's more mobile. Wout Faes should start over Vestergaard because he's more mobile. That is simple. Luke Thomas is just a bloody liability. I don't ever want to see him anywhere ever again, anywhere near the pitch. Get him, sell him. But the last point I'll make on this one is when you've got Thomas and Vestergaard together, A clumsy defender who likes to charge at the ball and get tight to a defender because he doesn't want to face them one-on-one. So he tries to get hard and commit. He overcommits. So when you've got an overcommitting fullback, that means that centre-back has to cover the space in behind him when he goes forward and overcommits. You've got Vestergaard on the cover. The guy can't run. The guy can't jump. So all you've got to do is twat a long ball anywhere behind Luke Thomas or in that vicinity. And you've got a chugging Vestergaard trying to cover. It's chaos every time. Watch that first half the other day. They must have hit a long ball behind Thomas 7 times. Every single one of them, they resulted with bringing up the ball. So if you're a defensive area, all you have to do, hit it behind Thomas, and you'll suddenly get the ball in the right wing position, and you can cause chaos from that. It's such a simple tactic. Teams are targeting Thomas. Teams are targeting Vestergaard, and they're definitely targeting them as a pair. Marty, stop playing.
That's it. And that's why Vestergaard holds on to the ball for so long to try and find that pass that's going to give him time to get back in some sort of position or shape. And he still can't manage it, but yeah.
Can't jump either. Can't get off the ground.
No. But like I said, that's the biggest issue at the minute is we've got flying wingers and he takes 3 days to find the perfect pass to get to him and then still doesn't actually make it at this minute this season. So that's quite frustrating with him. And then that's where it breaks down. He gets caught out. We look like we're then going to concede it.
Manny, I want to touch on 2 things with you. Bilal El Khannouss and Jarego.
Well, don't blame Bilal. You've always put a shift in. Your attitude's always been spot on. The weekend was the first game I could think of where I thought he wasn't up for it. And personally, being the empathetic, nice chap that I am, I understand. I mean, his head's gone. He's going to Palace. He doesn't want to get injured and ruin that move. His teammates don't even bother congratulating the 16-year-old when he scores. It looks like a pretty... it's not exactly a super cohesive, friendly band of brothers at the moment, is it? They couldn't give a shit that one of their star kids has scored his first ever goal. That is not a good sign for a team unit. This is the kind of place at the moment that you want to jump ship. So, fair play to Bilal. He's made us a profit. He did it. He did a good job for us. Always showed a good attitude. He never threw a massive wobbly. Time has come that if we'd have stayed up, I'm sure he would have stayed. But because we went down, he's got to go. Good luck to him. Hope he goes on well and develops his career and does better things. And if he doesn't get game time at Palace, maybe in a year's time we'll have him back.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
He's only 21.
What about Jarego?
I've only seen clips, so I can't comment on the quality of the boy, but there's a lot of hype about him, for sure. There's a lot of talk about him of being a good, good quality talent. What I'd say is, if you're on the bench at Benfica, that means you've got to be a decent player. You don't get on that bench by being crap. And remember, Abdul couldn't even get in the Sporting Lisbon squad. He couldn't even get on the bench, not even on the bench. I mean, they must have watched Abdul in training to think you're not good enough on their bench. They must have some bloody team. I'm telling you, if Abdul can't get any of a sniff. So that means that, they're secondary players and they're such sharp recruiters, those big Portuguese teams. They know where to recruit from Africa, South America. They're not daft. So, alone, what's the risk?
He's got good control. He's got good control of the ball at his feet. Very
technically,
tight spaces.
He'll be good technically. I mean,
20 years old.
If I was to get excited about it, I would say I've seen some clips that suggest he's a bloody good player, and we're very fortunate to be getting a player of this caliber on loan. Don't dream that we'd be able to sign him permanently. They're willing to lend him to us to put him in the shop window. Take the shop window and say we managed to get. I think it might be a coup. Would be the right word.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I think, 20 years old? His debut was 18 years old. He's a wonder kid with what they sort of touted him as the next João Felix, which, João Felix, good player, played for Atletico Madrid, did some good things. They brought some good players through, haven't they? Clibo, Benfica, your Bernardo Silvas, your Ruben Diaz's. I think, was it Rui Costa came through there as well at one point. So they know their shit.
They were a big club in Europe. Over the years,
Did they win the European Cup, Clubbo? I'm sure they've
Yes,
something.
they did.
Eusebio in the 60s, I think.
Eusebio and all at one
Yeah.
point.
Eusebio.
Legend.
What a player! What a player he was, by the way.
The Black Pearl. Yeah.
Yeah,
hell of
what a
player.
player. Yeah, he has to be talked about as one of the greats. But yeah, I think over the years they've had a steady trickle of exceptional players and some very good ones as well. They sort of fell from grace a little bit over the sort of more modern era, but I think they're kind of back, kind of fighting again, aren't they? And they always
won the Nations
had
League, didn't they?
technical players. You what?
They've won the Nations League, didn't they? Aren't they the current Nations League champions, Portugal?
Portugal, yeah.
Yeah, Portugal are.
Yeah.
Portugal.
Yeah.
I don't know what the population of Portugal, but Portugal, considering, like, pound for pound, they've always punched above their weight. Portugal have always been, at worst case, a dark horse team with at least 2 or 3 players which are world level players. Where Rui Costa, Luis Figo, Ronaldo, they've had some unbelievable. Pepe, brilliant at Real Madrid for years. Fabio Carvalho, do you remember Carvalho at Chelsea? Ricardo Carvalho, what a player he was. Unbelievable defender. So Portugal's a brilliant traditional breeding ground for technical players, but not just technical, they can be shithouses too, Look, I think how filthy Carvalho and Pepe were as defenders. Dirty, filthy defenders. They know how to play, don't make no mistake. Portuguese players, that's a good place to look.
It's just whether it transitions into the Championship. That's the only thing. I think if you loan him to a Premier League club, you're probably going to get more of his skill set.
It depends what their attitude's like, I think, because the Championship isn't like the old days of Division 2. The pitches are crap. Everyone's trying to kick the shit out of you. Nowadays, how many clubs are trying to play football on the deck? How many clubs are trying to pass? How many good pitches are there? You barely see a bad pitch anywhere these days. No bobbles, no mud patches, no waterlog everywhere. Yeah. Generally, the Championship is the kind of league with its exposure where I always think if you're a young player, I could go to that league and look like a king. I'll look like a god in that league. And if I look like a god in that league, then there's been plenty of players from that league that will get me to the Premier League and I'll get a decent look. I mean, Enzo Maresca got the Chelsea job from it, and Maddison got his move from there, and other, Ivan Toney's going on, he's earning 400 grand a week at the moment, all come through the system. So if your choice is sitting on the bench somewhere or coming to the Championship for a year and play for Leicester City, that's not a choice. You go to Leicester City and play football for a year.
I agree. Yeah. Reese, coming to you with this. Abdul Fatawu, name that has been bandied about with Sunderland, Everton, reportedly of interest of him as well. What's your thoughts on the Fatawu one? Obviously, Leicester, they don't seem to even want to consider selling him at all. It'd obviously take at least £100 million to even sell him anyway, or 150 at best. So, what's your thoughts on the whole Sunderland of now looking at other options? Everton are still potentially looking at him this summer transfer window. Surely we can't let him go.
I think that's the one player we will slap an unrealistic price on him. I think the likes of Bilal, Mads, they're a bit more, more replaceable. Where I think Abdul's irreplaceable at the minute. I don't think you'll ever buy a quality of his player for a while. He's got the whole package really. And I think Sunderland. How much did Sunderland offer him? How much did
28 or something?
26.
Yeah. I'm not. I don't. You lads shouldn't be surprised at that sort of offer because clubs know we're desperate for cash. So they are going to put a cheeky bid in of that offer. But I think that is the one player we'll do anything we can to keep our hands on. I think he's more than happy here anyway. I do think if he had a full season in the Premier League last season, he'd have gone by now. There's no doubt about that. But I think his injuries kind of saved him. I'd like to keep him here a little bit, but no, I can't see him being sold.
Dan?
No, absolutely. Like what I said at the beginning of the program, we've got 3 players realistically that we can't really afford to lose, and he's one of them, without a doubt. And I think if we were to sell him, and and it unless it was a phenomenal fee, there'd be absolute uproar.
Yeah.
It's like I say, it's not a particularly nice place to be around at times at the minute, let alone if we done something stupid like that. Like I said, because then what is there to go and watch Leicester City for as a fan if you're getting rid of players that lift you off your seat? And yeah, we've got Monga, but he's not going to be playing week in, week out. He's not quite ready for that yet, although he's pushing heavily to do so. But it'd also be a risk for us as a club to do that. So yeah, he is certainly one that if he was to go, there would be a lot of bother, and a lot of questions to be answered. Not that we're very good as a club at answering any questions, but yeah, say, you know, it's just one of them that can't happen. And I think the club have already said that it he's not for sale unless it was ridiculous. You
Yeah.
know,
Well,
and at times you can't turn down the ridiculous.
we are talking.
And Everton and Sunderland don't have the
You know,
ridiculous.
well, they seem to have spent a lot of money. What they spent, Clipper? £160 million Sunderland so far. They want 3 more players in, and
Well, I think the thing is that the new teams, I mean, the teams that have gone up this season, they've spent some time away from the Premier League, and they've been looking at what's going up and what's coming back down season on, season out, and they've had to go through it. Now, that could well not be enough. 200 million could well not be enough. But there's ways of spending 200 million, and I'm sure you'll agree. You can spend it on do what Cooper did and spend 200 million on old players and experience, or you could do it the way Sunderland and Leeds are doing it. You know, invest in a little bit. You know, if they go down, they'll be able to sell these players at equal amounts of money or profits potentially, depending on how they do. But I think. The way those teams are doing it is the only way that teams coming up with the massive gap that there is now. It's the only way that they've got a chance of staying up. There has to be some sort of change happen, because as a neutral fan, if you're not a fan of any of those teams, it's so boring that, I mean, I hate Leeds. I absolutely hate Leeds, but part of me hopes they stay up, because we need to break this cycle that's happening, because I can see it happening again. The three that came up will go down again, and I have to say, if we go up, which is a big if at the moment, we'd have to do something very different to what we did last time. I mean, how much did we spend? What spend? I mean, you look at Ipswich spent. Well, Ipswich spent double that, and they finished behind us. You know,
they bought crap though.
Yeah, that's
it. They did, and I have to say, watching them this season. I mean, I don't want to turn this into anything other than Leicester talk, but watching them this season so far, I have not been impressed. Southampton
spent 100 million and got like 12, 13 points.
They still need a lot of players through the door, Southampton. You know,
it's not money in itself, isn't enough. You've got
to
you've got to have a high strike rate with that money. If you start buying duds and the odd mistake, you're going to go down. You need to be almost perfect with your recruitment to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
Manny, I'm going to stay with you actually before I go to Reese. This is a tweet that got put out today. While the PSR can hurt ambitious clubs, it's fair to say that Leicester City's biggest problem is the mismanagement since winning the title. Leicester have seen over £200 million in players leave the club for free, more than any other club.
I would agree with that point, but there is, as usual, it's not black and white. It's not a simple yes or no. I think how I characterise it is we hit the miracle. We get in the with Brendan. We're pushing for the Champions League again, and we spend 74 out of 76 weeks in the Champions League spots. But the 2 weeks we didn't spend the Champions League spots were the very last week, which is when it obviously counted. But the club went, look, we're qualifying for Europe multiple seasons in a row here. We're fifth, worst case scenario, eighth. When we won, the key moment was after we won the FA Cup. Because at that moment, you're now qualified for Europe again, and you want to keep your best players to have a serious run at one of these European competitions and push for the Champions League again, right?
Yeah.
But Tielemans, in particular, just scores the winning goal. 2 years left on his contract, won't sign a contract. The fact that he won't sign a contract already means his head's gone. It means he doesn't want to be here. He's running the clock down until he can get a move somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as the player's mind has changed, then you're going to see a decrease in performance because his heart's not in it anymore. He feels like he's won us the FA Cup. That's as much as he's ever going to do with us. He's had his perfect moment. It's time to move effectively. Now, the club is reluctant to sell because we've got a European campaign. You want to hold on to your best players. And that summer, we didn't sell. We didn't sell Sunchu, we could have sold. We didn't sell Tielemans, we could have sold them. We kept them to gamble that we can qualify for the Champions League. And if we get another 100 million quid the Champions League, we don't need to sell anybody. We'll be Champions League team. So I feel sorry for them that they gambled and we took it to the last game twice. And, any one of those games has a different result. The whole trajectory of Leicester City is different.
Yeah.
So I don't really mind them gambling, but from an efficient business point of view, is that you have a business model, you've got to stick to it no matter what. If the player's not hot, what a key part of it, running back to the tweet he said, is selling players at max value. That is super smart way to run to a club. You when they're at their peak, when everybody's raving about them, when there's multiple clubs after them, when they're playing well internationally, like Harry Maguire was in the World Cup. We sold him off the back of that World Cup when the hype was at its max level. Everyone's going slabhead crazy. You get 80 million for him. Wow. I'll ask you guys, what could we have sold Tielemans for after that FA Cup and he's just hit one in the top corner against the European champions?
I mean, you're talking 50, 60.
50, 60?
60 million quid.
Right. Yeah. What do we end up getting for him?
Nothing.
0.
Okay.
When we could have got 40 for him the season before.
Blanket rule then. Learn your lesson. Anybody under 30 who has 2 years left on his contract, if you want to retain them and they won't extend their contract with 2 years to go, that summer they have to go. No matter what. You cannot let it go down to 1 year, because if you get it down to 1 year, it's either a reduced fee or you risk them just turning around and saying, I'm going to sit it out for another year and I'm going to go on free. So with new rule, 2 years to go, either you sign them an extension. If they don't extend, they have to be sold. It doesn't matter if we're fighting for Europe. It doesn't matter if we're fighting for relegation or promotion or whatever it is. That is the rule that you are going to stick to. 2 years left, you can still get peak value for the player. And you know what? You'll work out beautifully, because if a player isn't extending a contract with you, then you're going to see a corresponding decrease in performance too. So, new rule, again, sell anyone with 2 years to go.
With that, completely agree. The addition we need to do is the fringe players where we get silly offers, like the 5 million for Luke Thomas, the 10 million for Casey McAteer. Let them go. That's good money, and we can replace them quite easily. Even you go back to the goalkeeper Everson at the weekend. Why the hell did we not sell him? Why did we not? There's no logical reason. He wasn't going to play.
Was the one. Dennis Pratt. He always just sit on the bench for years or go out on loan.
Happy Mendy was another one, by the way.
Torino came back-to-back years for him, and we were like, no, we want an extra 2 million quid. And then we tried to squeeze the teams with low budget, and we end up losing them all free. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, for a fringe player.
Take the money.
Stupid.
Reece? Thoughts?
No, it's spot on what Manish just said. Like, I've said this for a while. We need to go back to that way, and and it made us successful. And you've also got to trust your scouting networks as well. Put your faith in them, and that they will find a top player relatively cheap, and we can go from there again. It's just, unfortunately, teams like us, Brighton, Bournemouth, Sunderland are going to constantly be in that side because we're not one of the big fish. We'll never be a big fish. You have to think logically and financially as well as on a football terms as well. Yeah, we all want to keep our best players, but the likes of Riyadh, his time had come. And Fofana's time had come, and we got ridiculous fees for these guys. But again, it's just poor decision making, and managed just spot on. There's not really much more I can add to it.
If you don't sell them at max value or the point where the hype is max, then like Isak, let's talk about our current situation just for brief. Isak now, if Newcastle don't cash in on Isak for 110, 120, 130, then he's gonna get pissed off, and his value's just gonna go down and down and down. There'll be less clubs where you say, look, he's not playing, he's unfit, he's not scoring. I'm not going to offer you that money again. Mark Guay, they turned down 70 million last summer from Newcastle, I think it was.
Yeah,
we're after Mark Guay.
Yeah.
With 2 years left. Now Mark Gay's got 1 year left, and he's already told them either I go to Liverpool, who will only offer 40, or I go on a free next summer. They should have sold him for 70, but to be fair, they kept the player, and they've got an FA Cup to show for it, to be fair. So it's a tough one, whether you sell them or, your inclination is like, I want to do it for the fans, I want to keep our best players. But I think this is one where the fans have to understand that there is a good reason to have something like a 2-year rule. That there comes a time where every single player, even my beloved Fatawu, my favourite, will have to go. And that time is when he's got 2 years to go and won't extend. And if we can extend his contract today, then we can delay the pain. And the more, I want to look at someone like Chelsea, put Abdul on an 8-year contract if you can. I know I probably won't. Put Monga on an 8-year contract if he'll ever dream of signing one. Get these young assets on these massive long deals. Get Lewis Page on an 8-year deal. No, do it. You'll always find someone to. If you can't play him, someone will pay, or someone will take him on loan for a year, or someone will pay. But it's that player contract now with the Bosman and the way it is, and this new Lasana Diarra rule that they're going to change as well. The power is so much with the player these days that you have to try and find ways of clawing that power back if you can.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I agree. Clibo, I'm going to come with you for this one. Right, I found this interesting, but like I said, words are cheap unless you put them into action, Clibo. Luke Thomas has spoke on the recent fan disconnect. Fans are entitled to their own opinions on games, and you can see they show that, which is expected. After last year, we need that togetherness back. Well, you're not going to get it with some of the players in the dressing room. Let's just be quite frank about it. That's the main thing for us players. We want to show them. Want to show us what exactly? That's what my question.
Did you show us that? Did you show us that when you charged over to Jeremy Monga after he scored this wonder kid scored his first goal?
This is it.
Did you show? What was that? None of that has got anything to do with any fan. That's got to do with you and your teammate. That's got to do with one of your not just that, one of your junior teammates, one of all of you. You being a Leicester lad, Luke Thomas, also should be taking this lad under your wing. Keep him out of trouble. Keep his nose clean. Give him a few pointers about the places that you're going to. And if he scores a bloody goal, you pick that kid up and you give him a gigantic cuddle. You rub his head and you say, unbelievable. You are going to the top, my friend. This is the first of hundreds of goals that you're going to score because you are a baller, my boy. But no, just nothing. Clap, maybe even a little clap. Even from the bench. Like, if I was on that bench, I'm charging on the pitch at Monga. I am going to charge him. I'm going to rugby tackle him to the floor. I'm going to cuddle him. I'm going to give him a few kisses. I'm going to say, you're a little legend, little lad. What a star you are. The attitude
That's what
stinks.
pisses me off.
Don't pin it on the bloody fans. Sort yourself out first.
Yeah.
And then you can come to the fans.
Agreed.
That's it.
What you got?
Well, I mean, I completely agree with that. I mean, the problem I have with players coming out with statements is quite often they are very generic statements. And I think the club sometimes encourage them to say certain things. And when I see it, I just think to myself, come on. It's not really helping. I mean, there is a disconnect, which I think is quite evident, particularly at home games where, there's an air of, there's not that, it's not exactly like Pen 3 back at Filbert Street anymore, is it? Where it was like, whatever happened, a tackle, the fans would, you know what I mean? With it. it's not there anymore, and there's a clear disconnect. There's not that relationship that we used to have with some of the older players that we used to have, where you've even though they made a mistake, you were like, "Oh, it don't matter. Come on, just get up." At the minute, we're very quick to go, "For fuck's sake, that's shit." You know that. I'm sorry, but that's kind of the football. That's how it is. Do you know what I mean? And I think coming out with things like that just aggravates. It aggravates me a little bit. I mean, I'm not going to let it spoil my night, but when I read things like that, I think, "Oh, shut up, man. What you've got to do is start performing on the pitch," because I've stuck up for Luke Thomas since day one, because I've always thought he was harshly treated in the beginning, should have gone out on loan, beefed up a little bit and got some experience, but through injuries and whatever decisions, he ended up staying with us, and it's not helped his development. So I've watched him I watched him last season. I thought he did all right, and then watched him in pre-season, and he's been shit, literally shit all pre-season, and he's been shit every single game this season. So before you start lecturing the fans, you cheeky little shit, get your shit together on the pitch.
The only players who should be making statements are the players who consistently perform on the pitch. Because you can turn around and say, "Look, I'm doing everything that I can, and you see me busting a gut, and I'm doing my job as best I can, and I'm trying to get everyone else to do their job, including you, the fans." But if you are shit on the pitch week in, week out, to turn around and say the fans need to stick together with us, we're not going to stick together with a player who's playing shit every week and causing us to get relegated time after again and perhaps struggle to go up. That's not going to work. Bottom line is, your performances have to be good enough if you want us on side. If your performances aren't on side, it doesn't matter if you're a local lad, it doesn't matter if you're from Timbuktu, it doesn't matter if you're Santa Claus reincarnated. If your performances aren't good enough on the pitch, we are not going to like you. If your performances are good on the pitch, we're going to love you. And there are stages of it. We love Jeremy Monga because the kid's the best player on the pitch when he turns up. We love Abdul Fatawu because he's one of the best players, if not the best player so often, and he's got a brilliant attitude. Yeah. Other people's attitudes, other people's performances, generally, apart from Bilal, mostly stink. So all of you are going to get it. If you want to stop getting criticism, improve your performance or bugger off.
Yeah.
Actions speak louder than words, money, and this is what the players don't seem to understand. You know, they stroll around the pitch against Preston, doing whatever. Like, they can't even mark a man, for God's sake. They're getting beaten off the ball, they're getting battered. And it's like, well, what are you doing? Like, and then when the goal goes in, they're just waving their arms about, strolling back to the halfway line. Like, I can't be bothered with this. Then they're going down the tunnel at full time. I'm like, are you all right, mate?
I'm going to have a go at myself now, having just gone on that rant one way against the players. To be fair to some of the players, like, let's say I'm Luke Thomas or Yannick Vestergaard, two guys who I've criticised heavily. I would say Marty's asking me to do something that I'm incapable of doing. Yeah. So you're going to see mistakes. He's putting me in the firing line and asking me to cover on a transition. I can't cover this strike on a transition. He's faster than me. He's going to get past me. What am I supposed to do? Luke Thomas, I mean, I'm sorry, he's just not a very good footballer. Never has been. 7 managers, lots of clubs have tried, still not getting. It's still all I see is lots and lots of mistakes every game.
Exactly that.
Give yourself. Do you know what? I know you're a local lad, and I know you want to play for your lad, and I admire that, and I hope you're a Leicester fan and the rest of it forever. But for your own career, your future does not lie at this club. You're not going to get a new contract. Find yourself another club. Make yourself a career. Prove dickheads like me wrong. All right, that's what I would do.
Fair enough.
Do you know how many players? Oh, go on, Reese. Go on,
Reese.
No, go on. Carry on.
No, it's fine. It's not important. Go on, mate.
I mean, this is why I look at Abdul's statement. You know, you can see the kid's trying. You know, like and I do think his statement in a way is kind of like vindictive. Oh, I can't think of the words tonight. I mean, that's not with it, but like he's vindicated in what he's saying because he players like him are trying. But obviously, when you get players like Damare and Winks being lazy and Wout Fast just throwing his hand like that when we've just conceded, and I feel sorry for the players that are trying because they think, oh, is this abuse towards me?
It's the
the
ones that
manager.
are. Yeah.
You know, because the manager's thinking, oh, have I done something wrong to piss off the fans, or and shit like that. It's a tricky situation. But no, I completely agree with what you boys are saying. At the end of the day, we're shareholders in a club. We pay our way. And I've paid my way for not paid my way, but I've been going for 24 years and stuff like that. So, that's all I expect to see. If I'm traveling 5, 6, 7 hours round trips, all I want to see is my players trying as hard as they can. If they lose, but at least they're trying.
I agree with what you've just said, Reece. If players are trying and they give 100% effort and they lose 1-0 and they lose even though they tried, you'd say fair enough. Better luck next time.
I don't know. If you're shit, and you're going to get called out for being shit.
But when you are shit,
you can try as all as you want. If you're not good enough, go.
You're fuming.
To be fair,
I agree that effort. I'm like Roy Keane. I think most of us are. Like effort it should be the bare minimum. Like it's not even something you should discuss.
Yeah.
Like you don't need a manager to tell you to give 100%. You should be doing that internally.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're pissed off with the club, if you're pissed off with the manager, if you're pissed off with the fans, just for your own personal pride, whether it's by the way, whether it's a football pitch or whether it's in your real job or if it's in my job, I give more than 100% every single goddamn day with my work, with my family life. Same thing. It's not just about talking about it. You've actually got to put the daily grind in all the time.
But I think the difference is we're creating teenage millionaires. And it doesn't matter what anyone says, however much that teenager loves football.
Yeah.
Obviously, when I was going down in the 80s, like players were on £400 a week, and knowing that when they retired, they had to go and become a brickie or something, So they savoured every second of it. Now, if I won £1 million tomorrow morning, would I be motivated to do my job the same way? No, I wouldn't. And I think there's a disconnect, more of a disconnect between players and fans because of that. And that all ties in with these silly fucking statements that they're making.
Yeah, but that means you've got to do due diligence about the player's character. I mean, you wouldn't accuse Jude Bellingham of not caring or not trying. And how much money does he made since he was 18 years old?
There are players, but what I would say is a majority of young players that have become millionaires virtually by signing a piece of paper, a majority of them will not have the same commitment as somebody like, let's say, Steve Lynex, who had to go.
And you're right. And I've spoken to board member of Brighton about this exact subject. And I asked him, because we were discussing player character and how crucial it is and attitude and the rest of it. And I said, what do you guys do about when you're trying to find out, about a player that you're going to spend? He said, if we're going to spend millions of pounds on a player, we need to know everything about him. And that's not just his playing, his what he does on the pitch. We need to know everything about his skeletons in the closet. Has he got a betting addiction that we need to know about? Has he got a girl addiction that we need to know about? Has he got a drug addiction that we need to know about? Has he got an alcohol addiction that we need to go about? What kind of so what do? You get Anthony. You got to remember, a lot of these kids come from places like favelas and poor backgrounds. You give a kid like that a massive wad of cash. I tell you what, if you gave it to me, I know what's going on. It's party time. It is party time. We're going on a blowout. We're going to Ibiza midweek. Forget that. I'll be back in a couple of days for training. That's it. I never have to work again. I'm going to celebrate. So I don't have the right mentality when it comes to that. But I think if you get those humble kids, those kids who've had good parenting, who've had stable situations, like Wilf came from a military school. Absolute, as Wilf caused us any problem. He came over at 19, got a massive amount. I'm thinking about the amount of money he must have received relative to what he was earning before. Never a problem. Do you think Abdul would ever have a problem in his career with attitude? Never. It's not in him. It's not his personality. It's not in his character. Whereas some of the ones, worry about. Well, there you go. This is such a horrible generalisation. Watch out for those players who've got too many tattoos. Watch out for those players who start dyeing their hair blonde. Watch out for those players who start buying flash Rolls Royces and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. The old school way. Anyone who's a bit flash, be worried. Anybody who's humble, like N'Golo Kante, who's still happy to drive down in a Mini, despite in fact of being worth £100 million, that's the character you want.
Right. Wild Fast, hate's a strong word. Dislike about some things or a different aspect of it, but he may be a prick. But he's the best centre-back at the club. No one's disregarding that at all. He is the best centre-back at the club. If you had to choose between him, Cody and Vestergaard, Fass is the best defender at the club, without a doubt. Yeah. No one's hating on him from this panel or anything like that. No one's criticised him. Fass has got mistakes in him. He can be very much hot-headed at times, or whatever we want to call it. He can make them mistakes which lead to a lot of things. Look at last season, but he is our best defender at the club, centre-back wise, without a doubt.
He's played well. Has he played well every minute he's been on the pitch pretty much this season so far, hasn't he? He played well when he came on first game. He played pretty well against Huddersfield, and he played well when he came on again.
He's done his job.
And by the way, I know I defended him a lot earlier on Blue Tinted Glasses, but he's getting a lot of abuse from the fans, but he's still turning up, and he's still putting a shift in, and he's still actually performing, even though the fans are... Now, you might say that's because he wants to get a move. I don't care what motivates a player.
So what?
I don't care what motivates a player, whether it's money, whether it's personal pride or whatever, as long as you are motivated. As long as you are, whatever it takes.
That's what the fans want to see.
That's what I said last night about him, where the unpopular opinion is that he will come good and he will be one of our better players this season.
It's definitely Woot. It ain't booing, it's Woot.
Do you know what, Jack? You're there. Get the fans to change that, right? Because
it's
I think that but I know for a start, his name's not Woot. There's no pronunciation in this world where it's anything like Woot. It's Vout. It's Vout. It's Vout. It's not Woot. Woot is not anywhere close. But Woot does sound like boo when you've got thousands of people shouting it.
It does.
Especially when you extend the O's in the manner that it's done as well.
You'll get a couple of people booing.
Drop the Woot chant because there's a danger that the player takes it the wrong way. Simple.
Yeah, exactly. You'll get some fans who will boo him, which they have because they're wrongly because of last season and everything like that. Of how the whole team played respectively, but
right, yeah, I get all of that, right? But we're trying to go up. We're trying to go up. Does it help your team on the pitch? Does it help? Like if they booed one of my squad mates, I'd be a bit disappointed. I'd be like, leave the guy. Fucking no, that guy's trying. We just said the guy's trying. Get off his back. You know what? I'd rather you boo Vestergaard. He's a liability. But you don't say a word about him. I am a Nicoli lover, by the way. At least he can move. He can move. At least he can move.
Yeah.
So yeah, like again, this. I think as a fan base, we're picking on Wout Fass because of the body language. Throwing your arms up in the air. Nobody likes to see any of that. But I think we're crossing that with the play. And I'm not saying he's been brilliant at all, but I'm saying he's been no worse than any other and other players, and I can probably name a handful of players who've been worse than him. And so I think he's been unfairly singled out by the fans, and I think he was right to give it to the fans back. If I was him, I would have given it worse to the fans back, and I would say, stick you. And you know what? As soon as a half-decent club comes, whatever, have your championship season, I'm out of here. And I wouldn't think twice about it. That's what I would do. You dare boo me? I'm busting my ass. All right, I might be clumsy at times, but do you see me bottling a tackle? Never seen him bottle a tackle. He's always... The problem is he's trying to tackle too much.
Yeah,
he tries doing too much.
He does. He makes rash decisions.
Maybe that's an ego thing, isn't it? Maybe that's the way he is. Some players do think they're better than what they are, and
I don't necessarily is like that. I think that sometimes it's frustration. Like, for fuck's sake, we've conceded again.
He did say he wanted to leave though, but
but I mean, look, you get relegated. Look, I tell you what, we got relegated twice, and he hasn't left once yet. So whether it's through choice or lack of options, he's still here. But when he did stick it down with Enzo, did you see a lack of effort when he was under Enzo?
No.
Saw him I thought he was bloody good. Had a bloody good season.
He'd make a few mistakes, like the whole goal and that, but every defender makes them.
Mate, if it's a choice between Fast and Vestergaard, I know which one I'm picking.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
100%.
someone who's going to bloody go through a brick wall for you at times.
Someone who can fucking run.
Fast would be worth a go in midfield.
Someone who can move helps.
Fast's positioning would probably put that idea off, to be fair.
Nah, you can't play him in midfield. He's not technical enough, can't turn enough, no vision, too cumbersome, too rash in a challenge. Nah, not at all.
Boys, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. Manny, appreciate it as always. I know you were late to the party.
Sorry for lateness. Just
That's all right.
Too much going on.
We'll let it pass. But, Manny, what's going on at BTG?
We're going to be doing a scouting show to replace Bilal.
Okay.
We're going to have a look at a few options up to about 6 million quid. See
Yeah.
what's out there. I've found a mad player who's on loan in MLS 2, believe it or not, that I think is pretty tasty, that we could snap up for like 500 grand.
Yeah.
So we're going to have a look at real alternatives for that. We're also probably going to extend it into seeing what other loan options might be out there, that maybe we could snick a player here on loan. The later you get in the window, there's going to be a lot of squad players who have been trying hard in pre-season to think, I want to try and get in the squad this season. But eventually they're going to come a point where teams just say, look, I'm sorry, you're not going to get game time. We've already seen Wesley Fofana kicking off at Chelsea because he didn't play in the first game.
Yeah.
So there might be others like that. We might be able to get some loan options from some of these bigger boys. So we're going to have a look at some of the possibilities in that market too. Apart from that, just the daily grind of bitching, moaning, being frustrated.
As
being
we all
funny.
do, 11 days left to the window.
As I say, people say it's a therapy session. I always say it's an AA session. It's like us sitting around, exchanging our sad stories about how shit everything is.
Always.
But look, it's simple. The game at the weekend determines your whole week. You have a good result, you feel good all week. You have a shit result, you feel shit all week. And it's more of a sad indictment about how obsessed we are about this game.
That's football. Yeah. Appreciate you coming on, Manny, mate.
No worries, mate.
See you later. Dan, thanks for coming on again, mate.
No problem. No problem.
It's good to get you on more regularly, have a chat, and it's good to get your insight. And like Climo says, different heads think about different things and what they can offer and that. So yeah, it's fantastic. And I appreciate it.
No, enjoy coming on.
Appreciate it. Cheers, Dan.
No worries. Cheers.
Then we're left for Uncle Clibo and Nephew Clibo, Reese and Clibo. Boys, appreciate your time as always. Good to always chat with you and get involved. It is very informative when you both come on. Reese with the tactical noose, and you can get Manny on to give his different opinions on other things. Dan with obviously different knowledgeable on Leicester City aspects, but this is what we're here for. We're here to discuss different topics, and we both and all give everything to what we talk about, which is good.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoy coming on the show. It's there's I like you say, I like the wide range of opinions, and it's good to get shit off your chest when you've had a shit result. Missing Clibo's role.
I'm a little radiator for a key ring. Clibo, thanks for coming on, mate. Reese, all the best. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Hopefully there'll be more late night whistles at some point. But we'll keep up to date with it. Have a good rest of the night, wherever you're up to, mate, and all the best.
You too, buddy. In a bit.
That is it from the panel. That is it from me. Appreciate you all coming in as always. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this stream. We're going to try and get 60 likes on it. So if you can all hit the like button, that'd be fantastic. Subscribe to the channel if you know and you haven't subscribed to the channel. Please get down and do so. Thank you for everyone coming in and getting involved. You guys matter to this channel. So big up to every single one of you in the comments. We really appreciate you every single time we do a stream. So big up everyone. What's coming up on the final whistle? So 6 p.m. tomorrow, we will have the Championship predictions week 3 as we look ahead to the Championship games with Steve and with Rich from Suffolk Crunch. We will have the match preview tomorrow evening at 8:30. So join us for that as well. We looked ahead to the game at the Valley at the weekend. Can the Foxes get back on track? Is the big question. We're going to be joined by 2 Charlton fans and hopefully a Leicester City fan, so we can discuss all that. Great to see the passion. Appreciate it. Cheers, lads. And there's the final whistle. Yeah, the final whistle is blown. I'm out of here. Take care. Have a great rest of the night, wherever you're up to. Keep it the final whistle.